The alarm clock rings at 4:30 in the morning. I open my eyes before it starts ringing, a habit I've developed over the years. When you've been getting up before dawn for decades, your body knows when it's time to get up. I turn off the alarm clock and let myself lie there for a minute, no more. You can't relax. At 62, my life is just beginning, although many people think otherwise. The apartment is small, a one-bedroom on the outskirts of Federal Way. Nothing fancy, but it's my own, paid in full 5 years ago. A reliable rear end. The radio broadcasts the weather forecast. They promise rain by noon. Great, I can get my morning chores done before the weather hits. My daily routine has long since become a finely honed machine. 15 minutes for a shower and coffee. I put a turkey sandwich in the thermos for a snack between cleanings. I carefully pack my small suitcase of cleaning supplies. Each client has its own preferences. The law firm, Darkin and Partners. No chemicals, only ecological means. The insurance company, on the contrary, requires disinfecting all surfaces. Cleaning products are not cheap, but I don't skimp on quality. It's my reputation. My 10-year-old Ford starts with a half turn, a faithful companion who never lets me down. Unlike some people, the roads are still empty. Not many people voluntarily get up this early. I love this time. The city is still asleep, and I'm on my way. First on the schedule today is the office of an architectural firm. 3 floors to finish before 7 o'clock when the employees start arriving. I open the door with my key, turn on the lights. My territory. I change into my work clothes, black pants and a blue t-shirt that says Audrey's Cleaning. That's a mouthful, of course. It's just me, Audrey Layton, with a rag and a vacuum cleaner. I start at the top floor and work my way down, vacuuming carpets, wiping down desks, computers, scrubbing restroom floors, taking out the trash. Precise movements, no unnecessary movements. At my age, I need to conserve my energy. By 6:45, the office is sparkling clean. I leave a note for the manager that I've finished purchasing bathroom supplies. Need to order more. The next site is a dental clinic on the other side of town. Here, cleaning is more complicated. You need to comply with sanitary norms, use special means, but it pays better. I finish by 9 a.m., just as the receptionist arrives. "Good morning, Audrey," she nods. As usual, everything is spotless. "I do my best," I smile back. "By the way, doctor, Klein asked if you'd be willing to clean his home office. He was impressed with your work here." "Sure, give him my number." That's how my little business grows. By word of mouth, from satisfied client to potential client. After the bank failure of the bank where I had worked as a janitor for almost 30 years, I had to find new avenues. At first, it seemed a disaster to start from scratch at 60, but I managed, and now I have 10 regular customers. Not so bad for a woman who, according to her son, should be quietly knitting socks while sitting in a rocking chair. I take a break during the day, time to stop by the house, grab a bite to eat, do laundry, and take care of household issues. And in the evening, there are 2 more offices. My body is tired, but my soul sings, I'm my own boss. No bosses, no instructions, just me and my work. And most importantly, a decent income. Not riches, of course, but enough to live on, and even remains a little. I'm thinking of hiring an assistant. There are too many people who want to use my services, and I physically cannot take more clients. In the evening, my son calls. Mervyn doesn't call much, usually when he needs something. "Mom, did you remember that we're expecting you for dinner tomorrow night?" He sounds annoyed, like I'm the one who insisted on visiting them, not the one who invited me 2 weeks ago. "Of course I remembered," I answered calmly. 6 o'clock as agreed. "Oh, and please buy that pie you brought last time. The kids loved it." "Okay," I nod, even though he can't see me. "And also," a pause, "we need to talk, very seriously." He disconnects without waiting for my response. Typical Mervyn. Always in a hurry, always dissatisfied. Well, we'll see what kind of serious talk awaits me tomorrow. Usually it means he needs money. The next day, I finish work early so I have time to stop by the bakery for a pie. That pie costs $25 unreasonably expensive, but the grandkids really love it, and I see them so seldom that I'm willing to splurge. Mervin's house is a two-story in an upscale neighborhood, a 30-year mortgage, as he often complains. His wife Tessa's car is parked out front, a brand new SUV. For as long as I can remember, they've always had new cars, even though they're always complaining about the lack of money. Tessa opens the door, well-groomed with flawless makeup. She works at some boutique selling designer clothes, always impeccably dressed, always looking at me like I've brought mud on my clogs into their perfect home. Hello, Audrey. She never calls me Mom, or at least Audrey Lynn. Always just Audrey, as if I'm not her husband's mother but a casual acquaintance. Hello, Tessa. I brought pie. I hold out the box. Oh, thank you. She takes the pie with two fingers, like it's something contagious. Come on in. Mervin's in the living room. From the back of the house come the sounds of a video game console. My grandchildren, twins Archie and Hammond, 12 years old, don't even raise their heads when I walk in. They're absorbed in playing on the huge TV. Hello, boys, I say. Hi, one of them mumbles, not taking his eyes off the screen. Grandma brought pie, I say, hoping to get some kind of reaction. Cool, the other one says, but he doesn't reach for the box. Mervin comes out of his office. My son is a tall, handsome man of 42, but he looks tired today. He kisses my cheek, a dry, formal kiss. Mom, I'm glad you could come, he says in a tone as if I'm always turning down their invitations, when it's the other way around. I'm always happy to see you, I reply sincerely. Dinner passes in tense silence. Tessa made a roast that was too salty, but I don't talk about it. Mervin is drinking his third glass of wine. The boys pick at their food, constantly glancing at their phones under the table. How's your job, Mom? Mervin finally asks. It's good. Got a new client, I answer. Still scrubbing other people's toilets? Tessa snorts. I provide cleaning services, I correct her calmly. It's honest labor, and it pays well. God, Mom, Mervin sighs. At your age, you shouldn't be working, much less cleaning. It's degrading. There's nothing demeaning about honest work, I counter. Besides, I like being independent. Independent? He snorts. You live in a tiny apartment and hunch over from morning till night. That's not a life. It's my life, I say firmly, and it suits me fine. Mervin puts down his fork and sighs deeply. Listen, Mom, I wanted to talk to you about something important. He glances at Tessa, who nods. We need your help. What kind of help? I ask, even though I already know the answer. Financial? Mervin lowers his eyes. I need a new car for work. The old one broke down, and we're a little strapped for cash right now. Mortgage, boys' school, loans. How much? I ask him straight out. 10,000, he says. I wouldn't ask, but I really need this car. I'll pay it back when I can. I shake my head slowly. He never pays me back. I don't have that kind of money, Mervin. What do you mean you don't? His face instantly reddens. You must have savings. You hardly spend anything. I pay my rent, my car payment, my insurance, my groceries, I say. I have a little rainy day savings, but not 10,000. You could take out a loan, Tessa suggests. At your age, you're not likely to spend all your money anyway. I stare at her, not believing my ears. I'm not taking out a loan to buy you a new car, I say firmly. You already have one car. Use it until you save up for a second one. You don't understand. Mervin raises his voice. I need a car for work. I can't drive Tessa's little sedan. Then sell the SUV and buy two smaller cars, I suggest. Oh my God, Mom! He slams his fist on the table. You're always like this. You never want to help. The boys raise their heads from their phones, watching the scene unfold. Tessa presses her lips into a thin line. I've helped you many times, Mervyn, I say calmly. I paid for your college. I gave you money for the down payment on this house. I babysat the boys when they were little so you could work. I've always been there for you. But now I just don't have that kind of money. Mervyn jumps up, his face contorted with anger. You know what? He's almost shouting. I wish you'd gotten hit by a car. At least we'd get the insurance money and sell your apartment. There's dead silence in the room. Even the boys freeze, shocked by their father's words. Tessa turns pale but doesn't say anything. I slowly get up from the table. I think I should go, I say quietly. Mom, I don't. Mervyn starts, but I raise my hand to stop him. Don't. I got it. I pick up my bag. Thanks for dinner, Tessa. I walk out of the house without looking back. My heart is pounding, but there are no tears, just emptiness and a strange sense of release. Now I know exactly what I mean to my son, an insurance policy and an apartment to sell. Nothing more. The morning after family dinner was especially hard. The alarm clock rang at the usual time, 4:30, but it took all my willpower to force myself out of bed. Mervyn's words echoed in my head. I wish you'd gotten hit by a car. They haunted me all night, robbing me of sleep. My own son wished me dead for money. The thought was so painful that I physically felt a heaviness in my chest. But the clients were waiting. I couldn't afford to take a day off because of the family drama. My small business held on to a reputation for reliability. So I forced myself to perform the usual morning rituals: shower, coffee, gathering the necessary cleaning supplies. Work had always been my salvation, a way to not think about problems. Today, I needed it more than ever. In the parking lot of the office center that housed the law firm, my first client of the day, I noticed my hands were still shaking. Pull yourself together, Audrey, I commanded myself. You've handled worse than this. Cleaning took longer than usual. I got distracted, skipped sections, went back to double-check my work. By 7 in the morning, when I was usually finished, I had to speed up to avoid running into incoming employees. Are you all right, Mrs. Layton? Gabriel, the young security guard, asked me as I hurriedly packed my equipment. You look a little upset. I just didn't sleep well, I said with a strained smile. It's no big deal. I understand. He nodded. My mom says my sleep gets worse as I get older, too. As you get older. Sure, everyone writes it off as age. No one assumes that a 62-year-old woman can suffer from betrayal by her loved ones and not from age-related changes. The whole day was a blur. I mechanically performed my duties, moved from object to object, communicated with clients. But my thoughts kept returning to last night. I analyzed my relationship with Mervyn. When did it go wrong? I was a good mother, supporting him, helping him financially, taking care of his grandchildren. What had I done wrong that I deserved to be treated this way? By late afternoon, emotional exhaustion took over. Finished with the last office, I decided I deserved a little consolation. On my way home, I stopped at a convenience store to buy something sweet. At the register, my gaze fell on a stand with lottery tickets. I had never played the lottery. I thought it was a waste of money. But now, exhausted and tired, I thought, why not? It can't get any worse. The cashier, an older man with tired eyes, looked at me with mild surprise when I asked for one Powerball ticket. First time taking one? He asked, holding out the ticket to me. That obvious? I smiled. Usually people take more than one to maximize their chances, he explained, but maybe it's beginner's luck. I paid the $2, stuffed the ticket in my purse, and forgot about it. At home, I ate ice cream, took a hot bath, and went to bed feeling a little better. For the next 3 days, I worked as usual, trying not to think about Mervyn. He didn't call to apologize, and that spoke for itself. The night of the raffle, I didn't even remember the ticket. It wasn't until the next morning, in the car on the way to work, that I heard the news on the radio about the $187 million jackpot that someone had won in our state. Some people are lucky, I thought without much envy. In the afternoon, while going through my purse for my coffee shop loyalty card, I came across a lottery ticket. I decided to check it out, even though I didn't expect anything special. I went to the lottery website from my phone and compared the numbers. The first number matched. The second number matched. I got chills. The third, fourth, fifth all matched. And the extra number matched. My ticket. The jackpot. $187 million. I sat in the car parked outside the coffee shop, unable to move. My heart was pounding so hard I was afraid for my health. This couldn't be true. I double-checked the numbers 3 times. Then I went to another website to make sure again. There was no mistake. I, Audrey Layton, had just become a multimillionaire. My first impulse was to call Mervyn, out of habit, to share important news with my son. But I stopped myself just in time. I remembered what he'd said, how he'd treated me all these years. What would he do if he found out he'd won? He'd rush over to apologize, start making plans for my money. He won't ask for a car, but a bigger house, traveling, investing in his perpetually failed business ideas. Number I'm not gonna tell him, at least not yet. I spent the rest of the day in a strange daze. I canceled my evening chores, citing indisposition. I came home and sat for 3 hours, just staring at the wall, trying to comprehend what had happened. I could buy anything I wanted, travel, not work if I didn't want to. But the strange thing was, the thought of quitting my job didn't appeal to me. I loved what I did. I was proud of it. Even if I had millions, it didn't mean I had to change what gave me satisfaction. I didn't sleep a wink at night, thinking about the situation. By morning, I had a plan of action. The first order of business was to get the winnings, and here I ran into a problem. Winnings of this size are public. There'll be a press conference. My name will be released. Mervyn's gonna find out either way. After careful study of the lottery rules, I found out that I could set up a trust and receive the winnings through it while maintaining some anonymity. I needed a lawyer. In the morning, I called a law firm I sometimes use to draft contracts with clients. "Good afternoon. I need advice on a lottery winnings trust," I said to the receptionist. "I'll connect you with Mr. Holdwell. He specializes in such matters," the girl replied. 5 minutes later, I was talking to Mr. Holdwell, a reserved, middle-aged man who seemed surprised by nothing. "Mrs. Layton, congratulations on your winnings," he said after I had explained the situation. "You're lucky. In our state, it's legal to receive winnings through trusts. We'll set up a blind trust, appoint a trustee, and you won't have to attend the press conference in person." We set up a meeting for the next day. I spent the evening researching all the options available to me to receive my winnings and remain anonymous. In the morning, before my meeting with the lawyer, I stopped by the bank and rented a safe deposit box to keep the ticket safe. Mr. Holdwell turned out to be a true professional. He explained all the legal intricacies in detail, helped me choose the best trust structure, and offered to introduce me to a financial advisor. "Winning a lottery of this size requires proper management," he said. "Many lottery winners lose all their money within a few years because of reckless spending and bad investments." "I'm not going to spend the money," I assured him. "I have concrete plans. Still, I recommend counseling. Ms. Ramirez is one of the best financial advisors in town, and she has experience with large sudden fortunes." I agreed, and 2 days later I met with Elena Ramirez, an energetic woman about my age, with a shrewd eye and confident manners. "Mine is Miss Layton," she said after I told her my situation. "I appreciate your caution. Sudden wealth changes people and destroys relationships. You're doing the right thing and not rushing to announce your winnings." We discussed my financial goals. I told her about my small cleaning business and my desire to expand it. Interesting. She tapped her pencil on the table thoughtfully. Most people in your position would just quit their jobs. I love what I do, I replied, and I want to create something worthwhile, not just waste money. Then let's strategize, she nodded. We'll invest part of the money in a diversified portfolio to ensure stable income and capital preservation. Another part will be allocated for the development of your business. We'll also need to set aside a reserve fund and money for personal expenses. We spent several hours discussing various investment options and business plans. Elena was impressed with my practical approach and clear vision of the future. You know, Audrey, she said as we were finishing up, you're an amazing person. Most people are lost when they get that kind of money, and you already have a plan. I've worked my whole life, I shrugged. I've learned to plan and rely on myself. After I met with my financial advisor, I started to develop a business plan. My idea was simple: to turn my small service into a full-fledged cleaning company with modern equipment, trained staff, and the ability to take on large contracts for office buildings, medical facilities, and other facilities. I enrolled in free courses for entrepreneurs at the local college to understand the legal and tax aspects of running a business. I began researching the market for professional cleaning equipment and learning how to hire and train staff. Meanwhile, the process of getting the winnings was underway. Mr. Holdwell set up a trust, and his assistant, as trustee, represented my interests before the Lottery Commission. I opted for a lump sum payment instead of annual installments, which meant receiving approximately $92 million after taxes. The money was deposited into the trust account 3 weeks after my winnings. All this time, I continued to work as usual without giving any sign that my life had completely changed. I did cleaning jobs, socialized with clients, and lived a modest lifestyle. Mervyn called twice with insincere apologies, probing the ground to see if I had thawed enough to help him financially again. I was polite but cold, making no promises. The day the money arrived, I allowed myself a small weakness. I bought a bottle of expensive champagne and drank a glass while sitting in my small apartment watching the sunset. It was a moment of triumph, but not because of the money itself, but because of the opportunities it opened up. Opportunities to prove that I was worth something, to myself, to my son, and to the world. The next day, the real work began. I rented a small office in a business center on the outskirts of the city, modest enough not to attract too much attention, but with the possibility of expansion in the future. I ordered a batch of professional cleaning equipment: vacuum cleaners with HEPA filters, steam generators, robotic scrubbers, eco-friendly detergents. I put together recruitment advertisements. Elena helped me develop the financial structure of the company, which allowed me to invest part of my winnings without disclosing its source. Officially, the business was developed on a bank loan and my personal savings. I didn't want employees or clients to know about the lottery. It could undermine confidence in my professionalism. In parallel with the development of the business, I began to slowly change my personal life. I rented an apartment in a good neighborhood, not luxurious, but spacious and bright. I bought a new, more reliable car, again, not flashy, but comfortable. I updated my closet, bought some quality clothes instead of the cheap clothes I was used to. The changes were gradual so as not to arouse suspicion. If anyone asked, I told them that my business started generating more income thanks to new clients and proper planning. One evening, about a month after receiving the winnings, I was sitting in my new office developing a marketing strategy to attract corporate clients. The phone rang. It was Mervyn. "Mom, how are you?" His voice sounded unusually cheerful. "Fine, thank you," I replied with restraint. "And you?" "I'm fine," he exclaimed a little too optimistically. "Listen, I've been thinking. I haven't seen you in a long time. Why don't you come over for dinner this Saturday night? The kids miss me. The kids are bored, the same kids who barely noticed my presence. I almost smiled at such an obvious lie. Unfortunately, I can't, I said. I have a lot of work to do, expanding my business. Expanding? He sounded surprised. What do you mean, expanding? Hiring employees, buying equipment, I explained. I plan to reach corporate clients. And where did you get the money for that? Now there was suspicion in his voice. I took out a loan, I lied. The bank approved my business plan. A loan? At your age? He didn't hide his skepticism. It's risky, Mom. Are you sure you can handle it? Quite sure, I answered calmly. I have a good credit history and a clear development plan. Well, good luck, he said uncertainly. But if anything, you know you can always count on our help. Our help? After everything he'd said, after wishing death for an inheritance, after years of neglect and demands for money. Now he's offering help when he felt I could succeed on my own. Finished talking, I leaned back in my chair and stared out the window at the city lights for a long time. My whole life had been spent caring for others. My husband until he left for another woman 20 years ago. My son, whom I raised alone and for whom I did everything I could. My grandchildren, to whom I tried to give what my busy parents could not. I sacrificed my desires, my comfort, my dreams. And what did I get in return? Neglect and ingratitude. At that moment, I made a final decision. No more sacrifices for those who don't appreciate them. No more concessions. No more compromises to my own detriment. I earned that money, not by winning the lottery, but by years of hard work, years of dedication. Now it was time to live for myself. The next weeks flew by in a whirlwind of business activity. I was fully immersed in building my new company. The small office I had rented was slowly being transformed into a real headquarters. I ordered stylish but not flashy furniture, modern computer equipment, and installed professional software to keep track of clients and plan cleaning schedules. After much thought about the name of the company, I decided on Crystal Clean, simple, memorable, and reflecting the essence of our work, crystal cleanliness. I ordered a logo design from a local designer, registered the trademark, and obtained all the necessary licenses to run the business. At the same time, I began the process of hiring staff. I placed ads in local newspapers and online platforms and conducted dozens of interviews. I was looking for people who didn't just see cleaning as a temporary job, but as a profession that required attention to detail and responsibility. The first employees were Rosa and Myra, two energetic middle-aged women with experience in the hospitality industry. Then Tyler, a college student working part-time in the evenings, and Glenn, an ex-military man looking for a stable job after returning from overseas, joined. By the end of the month, I had 6 full-time employees, and I started getting inquiries from larger clients. Ms. Layton, Rosa said at the end of one of our training sessions, I never thought cleaning could be so technological. I smiled as I looked at the new equipment that filled our warehouse. Industrial vacuum cleaners with advanced filters capable of capturing the smallest dust particles. Steam generators that kill bacteria without the use of chemicals. Polishing machines for all types of surfaces. Each appliance was the best in its class. It's not just cleaning, I said. It's about people's health and comfort. Cleanliness affects productivity, mood, and even health. We're not just removing dirt, we're creating a positive environment. Rose nodded respectfully. I could see that my approach resonated with the team. They took pride in their work, felt like they were doing something important. It was exactly what I was aiming for, to create a company where every employee is valued for their contribution. After 2 months, it became apparent that we were running out of space. The equipment was taking up more and more space, the team was growing, and I was planning an expansion of services. A new office was needed. We have a problem, I told Elena Ramirez during our regular meeting. We're growing faster than I had planned. That's a good problem, she smiled. Let's think about moving to a larger facility. Perhaps we should consider buying a building instead of renting. After a thorough search and consultation with realtors, I found the perfect one, a freestanding two-story building on the edge of the business district. The first floor was ideal for an office and a showroom where customers could see our equipment in action. The second floor housed a training center for staff and my personal office. And in the semi-basement, we had a warehouse for equipment and consumables. The building needed repairs, but the foundation was solid. I bought it for cash through my trust and invested another $500,000 in a complete renovation. It was a large sum, but I understood. A representative office is the face of the company, especially when you offer premium cleaning services to corporate clients. In parallel with the business development, I finally took care of myself for the first time in many years. Years of hard physical work and constant stress had left their mark. I made an appointment for a full medical checkup at the best private clinic in town. Minus Ms. Layton, you're in great shape for your age, Dr. Hendricks said as he looked over the results of my tests. But there are a few things that need attention. Initial arthritis in your knees is an occupational disease for those who work hard on their feet. And vision needs to be corrected. You need glasses for reading and working at the computer. I listened carefully to all the recommendations and made a plan of action. I made an appointment with an orthopedist, ophthalmologist, dentist. I hired a personal trainer who developed a gentle but effective exercise program for me. I started getting massages twice a week. Years of bending over and lifting weights had taken a toll on my back. After a visit to an ophthalmologist, it turned out that I needed a vision correction surgery, a modern laser procedure, painless and effective. I didn't hesitate a minute. I made an appointment for the nearest date. You have no idea how your life will change, said the nurse as she prepared me for the surgery. Most patients only regret one thing, that they didn't do it sooner. She was right. After the surgery, the world became brighter and clearer. For the first time in years, I could see the smallest details without straining my eyes. It was like waking up from a long sleep. The next step was a visit to the beautician. I had never been vain, but I realized my appearance was now part of the company's image. Besides, I deserved to look good, to feel confident. You have beautiful skin, the beautician said, scrutinizing my face. But years of sun exposure and stress have left marks. We can significantly improve the situation with the help of modern procedures. I agreed to a full course of care, deep cleansing, peels, moisturizing masks, laser rejuvenation. The result exceeded all expectations. My skin looked 10 years younger. Then it was time to update my closet. I have always dressed practically and frugally, not paying attention to fashion. Now, with an unlimited budget, I could choose the best. I hired a stylist who helped me choose a closet that matched my new status as a successful businesswoman. No flashy brands, I warned him right away. I want to look elegant, but not flashy. He understood my wishes perfectly. My new closet consisted of quality basic pieces in neutral colors that could be combined with each other. We added a few bright accessories for variety. Special attention was paid to shoes. After years on my feet, I deserved comfort. In parallel, I was looking for a new home. My rented apartment was good as a temporary solution, but now I wanted something permanent. I turned to a realtor with a clear list of requirements. A quiet, prestigious neighborhood, a detached house with a garden, proximity to the office. I looked through dozens of options until I found the perfect one. It was a two-story colonial-style house in North Hill, one of the most prestigious neighborhoods in Federal Way. 4 bedrooms, spacious living room with fireplace, kitchen with modern appliances, study overlooking the garden, backyard with terrace and small pool. The house was not new but in excellent condition, with character and history. I bought it immediately without haggling. I invited an interior designer to personalize the house. We chose a calm color scheme, quality furniture, and a few pieces of art by local artists. I wanted my home to be cozy and comfortable, not an ostentatious showcase of wealth. I paid special attention to the bedroom and bathroom, my personal space. A huge bed with an orthopedic mattress, soft lighting, a walk-in closet where all my new things could finally fit. The bathroom had a large jacuzzi tub and hydro massage shower. My joints deserved this luxury after years of hard work. The final touch was the study, a bright room with large windows overlooking the garden. Here I could work without traveling to the office when I wanted some quiet time. The bookshelves were gradually filled with business and management literature, memoirs of successful entrepreneurs. The last step in the transformation of my life was a new car. My old Ford had served me faithfully for years, but now it didn't fit my position. After consulting with experts, I chose an elegant Lexus, not too flashy, but high quality and comfortable. A logical continuation of the changes was the hiring of a housekeeper. The irony of the situation did not escape me. A former cleaning lady hiring a housekeeper for her home. Minus Miss Layton. Could you give some professional advice? Linda, the young woman I'd hired, asked. You're the expert in this field. Of course, I smiled. But please, call me Audrey. I selected the best equipment and products from my company's product line for Linda and showed her a few professional techniques. She proved to be diligent and attentive, a fast learner. I gave her a decent salary, well above market. I knew too well how hard this work was to underpay her. All these changes took place over a period of 3 months. During that time, I deliberately did not return Mervin's calls. His messages became more and more persistent, but I ignored them. I sold my old apartment through an agent without being there in person. I didn't leave a new address for my neighbors, except for two, an elderly Jenkins couple with whom I'd developed a warm relationship over the years of being neighbors. Audrey, your son came by looking for you, Martha Jenkins informed me during our phone conversation. He looked worried. What did you tell him? I asked him. Only that you'd sold the apartment and moved out. I didn't know if I could give him your new address. Thank you, Martha. Don't, please. We're a complicated relationship right now. That's what I thought, she sighed. He didn't look so much worried as annoyed. He kept demanding your address as if he had a right to it. It was like Mervyn, not concern for his mother, but irritation that she was out of control. Shortly after that conversation, I got a call from Tessa, the first time I'd ever heard from her. Audrey, where have you been? Her voice sounded fake, worried. Mervyn can't reach you, and we're worried. There's no need to worry, I said calmly. There's nothing wrong with me, just a lot of work with the new business. New business? There was disbelief in her voice. What new business? I expanded my cleaning company. I have employees, an office, the whole works. And where did you get the money for that? She asked me directly. Loan investors, I answered evasively. I gotta go, Tessa. Say hi to the grandkids. I hung up without waiting for her answer. It was clear that they were only interested in my money, not my well-being. A few days later, Mervyn came to my new office. Apparently, he found the address in the company directory. I watched through the security camera monitor as he stared in amazement at the modern building with the crystal clean logo on the facade. Mrs. Layton, you have a visitor, the receptionist told me over the intercom. He says he's your son. Tell him I'm not here, I replied. I'm in a meeting with a client and will be unavailable all day. From my office, I could see Mervyn arguing with the secretary, demanding to see me. His face reddened with anger when she firmly refused. Finally, he left, slamming the door. That evening, he published an emotional post on social media. Has anyone seen my mother? She's not answering her phone, sold her apartment, and disappeared. Worried something has happened to her. She's an elderly woman, probably needs help. I watched in silence as comments appeared under his post, expressing sympathy and offering help. None of these people knew the true background of our relationship. None of them had heard him say, "You better get hit by a car." A few hours later, one of my former clients commented on his post. "Saw Audrey 2 weeks ago. She looked great, talking about expanding her business. Didn't look like she needed any help." Mervyn immediately replied, "Thanks for the info." I'm still concerned, though. If you see her again, please tell her to contact me. I chuckled as I read that message exchange. How quickly his concern had turned into an attempt to track me down. I knew it. He sensed something was going on that he could benefit from, and it was driving him crazy, not knowing exactly what. The next day, Martha Jenkins called me again. "Audrey, your son has lost his mind. He came in again yelling, demanding your address. Said he'd put out a BOLO if we didn't tell him where you were." "He has no right to do that," I said calmly. "I'm an adult. I haven't disappeared. I just don't want to talk to him." "That's what I told him," Martha snorted. "I reminded him that you didn't have to report to him. He got so angry it scared me. Good thing Harold was home." "I'm sorry I dragged you into this," I said sincerely. "It's okay, dear. I've been watching the way he treats you for a long time. I always thought it was none of my business to interfere. But now I see I was right not to give him your address. I was grateful for your support. For the first time in many years, I felt that I was not alone, that there were people who understood me and respected my decision." Meanwhile, my company was thriving. We won several large contracts to service office buildings in the downtown business district. I hired 10 more employees, purchased additional equipment. Advertising and word of mouth were doing their job. Clients were coming to us themselves, attracted by our reputation for reliability and quality. I personally supervised staff training and developed quality standards that all employees had to follow. My philosophy was simple. We don't just clean, we create a space that people enjoy being in. One evening, driving home after a long day at the office, I noticed a familiar car parked in front of my house. Mervyn was sitting behind the wheel, watching the gate. He'd somehow found my address, probably hired a private investigator, or just followed me from the office. I didn't stop, drove by, did a lap around the neighborhood, and came back when I was sure he was gone. That evening, I hired a security company to install additional cameras and alarms in the house. Also changed all my contact information so he couldn't find me again. As I watched my son's desperate attempts to find me, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Part of me, the part of me that had always been a mother ready to forgive, felt a prick of guilt. But the other part, the new, strong Audrey, realized he wasn't looking for me, but for an opportunity to gain access to my money. And that knowledge strengthened my resolve to stay away from him. The whole year flew by. Life was filled with new meaning. Each day brought new challenges and achievements. My company, Crystal Cleaning, had steadily carved out a niche for premium cleaning in Federal Way and was beginning to expand into neighboring cities. Our office in a renovated 2-story building has become a true center of attraction for clients and job seekers. A spacious lobby with a reception area, a showroom with the latest equipment, comfortable meeting rooms. Everything spoke of reliability and professionalism. That morning, I was interviewing another candidate, a young woman named Vanessa, who had come on the recommendation of one of our best clients. "Mine is Ms. Layton. I have to be honest," she began, nervously clutching her resume. "I went through 5 cleaning companies before I decided to come to you. Everyone says you're hard to get a job with." "Why is that?" I asked with interest. "They say you're very demanding. You conduct several stages of interviews, organize tests for attention, send you for training in modern cleaning technologies. But at the same time," she hesitated. "Go on," I encouraged her. "And yet you have the most satisfied employees in the city. Above market salaries, full insurance, flexible hours. and no one quits. Darlene, a friend of mine from college, works here as a receptionist. She says she's never once regretted going through all those hiring trials. I smiled. Indeed, my hiring system was unusual for a cleaning company. Many people thought that you didn't need special skills to work as a cleaner. Just pick up a rag and go. But I knew that modern professional cleaning is a high-tech process that requires knowledge and skills. Vanessa, at Crystal Clean, we don't just clean, I explained. We create a spotless environment for our clients. This requires attention to detail, knowledge of the chemistry of cleaning products, and the ability to operate sophisticated equipment. Our employees don't crawl around on the floor with a mop. They operate robotic scrubbers, use steam generators, and work with professional air purification systems. That takes training. The girl nodded, her eyes lighting up. I'm ready to learn. I have a bachelor's degree in environmental science, and I understand the importance of safe cleaning products and proper cleaning techniques. Great! I made a note in my notebook. Then I invite you to a trial day at our training center. You'll see the equipment in action and decide if this is the right job for you. After Vanessa left, I looked at the list of job applications, more than 50 in the last week. Until a year ago, I'd had to talk people into coming in for interviews. Now, they were standing in line. My team had grown to 23 people, 16 cleaning professionals, 3 receptionists, an accountant, an HR manager, an equipment maintenance technician, and my personal assistant, Lauren. I carefully selected each person, training them personally while the team was small. Now we had a full training system in place, a 2-week course for newcomers, regular workshops on new technologies, and certification to environmental standards. Lauren knocked on my office door. Audrey, a reminder about the meeting with Pacific Towers representatives at 11. They want to discuss a maintenance contract for their entire business center. Thank you, Lauren. Please prepare a presentation on our new office building package. Pacific Towers was the most prestigious business center in the city, a 30-story building with panoramic windows that housed the offices of the region's largest companies. To be awarded the contract for its maintenance meant reaching a new level, both in prestige and revenue. The meeting was a success. I presented our comprehensive approach to cleaning large facilities, from environmentally friendly cleaning products to a computerized quality control system. I demonstrated the economic benefits of long-term cooperation. I answered all technical questions. Minus Ms. Layton, I must admit I am impressed, said the head of delegation after the presentation. We looked at 3 service providers, and your proposal seems to be the most convincing. We are especially interested in your system of quality control with appliance of tablets and QR codes. This is something new on the market. We developed it specifically for large facilities, I explained. Each zone is marked with a unique QR code. An employee scans it before and after cleaning. The system automatically records the time, the specialist, the products used. You get a full report and can monitor the quality in real time. A week later, we signed the contract. It was a victory, the biggest client in the history of Crystal Clean. We rented an additional room to store the equipment, hired 5 more specialists, bought the latest scrubbing machines with artificial intelligence that analyzed the surface, and selected the optimal cleaning mode. One morning, when I was reviewing the reports on the week's work, the phone rang. The number was unfamiliar. Audrey Layton, Crystal Clean Company, I answered. Minus Ms. Layton, my name is Dr. Nathan Shaw. I'm the chief surgeon at Federal Way Memorial Hospital. A male voice introduced himself. We have heard about your company and its innovative approach to cleaning. Thank you, Dr. Shaw. What can I do for you? We have a specific situation. We're completely remodeling 3 operating rooms, and we're looking for a company that can provide the highest level of sterility. Our usual contractor can't cope with the new requirements. Could you take on a job like this? I wondered. Medical facilities, especially operating rooms, required a special approach, specialized equipment, trained staff, certified cleaning products. But on the other hand, it was a prestigious contract and a new market niche. We haven't specialized in healthcare facilities before, I admitted honestly, but I'm sure we can adapt our technology and train our staff. When would you like to start? The sooner the better, the doctor replied. The new equipment has already been delivered, but we can't start operations until the facilities are up to cleanliness standards. We made an appointment for the same day. I called Glenn, our technician, and together we went to the hospital. Dr. Shaw showed us the operating rooms, huge rooms with state-of-the-art equipment that needed to be brought up to Class A sterility standards. He explained the requirements: zero tolerance to germs, special treatment of all surfaces, special attention to ventilation systems. Can you handle it? He asked, watching my reaction carefully. It will require additional equipment and training, I replied. But yes, we can handle it. Give me 2 days to develop a detailed plan and prepare the team. Back in the office, I called an emergency meeting. We studied the specifics of cleaning operating rooms, ordered specialized ultra-deep cleaning equipment, and developed safety protocols. I personally selected 5 of our best technicians for the project and gave them a crash course in the specifics of medical sterilization. 3 days later, we started work. I personally supervised every step, checked quality, communicated with the medical staff, and made adjustments to the process. After the work was completed, laboratory tests showed that the level of cleanliness exceeded the required standards. That's amazing, Dr. Shaw said as he reviewed the results. I didn't expect you to do it so quickly and at this level. I propose a permanent contract for all operating rooms in the hospital. This opened up a new line of business for us. Soon we were receiving inquiries from other medical facilities in the city. I created a special division within the company, purchased additional equipment, and hired a consultant microbiologist to develop special cleaning compounds. Another unexpected offer came from the Federal Way Police Department. Detective Ramirez, head of the Major Crimes Unit, called me personally. Minus Ms. Layton, we need a professional team to clean up crime scenes after the CSIs have finished their work, he said bluntly. It's a delicate job, requiring a special approach and a lot of nerve. I knew what he was talking about. Cleaning up after murders, suicides, accidents is not only technically challenging, but psychologically challenging as well. Detective, we're willing to discuss the possibility, I replied, but I need to understand all the requirements and make sure our staff can handle it. We met in his office. Detective Ramirez, a tall, serious man with tired eyes, explained the situation. Once the forensics work is completed, the premises need to be returned to a habitable condition. Right now, this is handled by the victim's relatives or landlords, which creates additional trauma. We want to work with a professional company that will do this quickly, thoroughly, and in a sanitary manner. I listened carefully, asked many questions about procedures, requirements, legal aspects, then said, we will take it on, but with a condition. I will personally select a team of the most psychologically stable employees, conduct special training, and provide psychological support, and no pictures or conversations about the details of the off-site work. The detective nodded, clearly impressed with my professional approach. One more thing, I added. For the families of the victims, our services will be free of charge. It's our contribution to the community. And so another line of business was born, a complex, challenging, but crucially important one. We developed special protocols, purchased protective equipment, and created a psychological support system for employees working at such sites. Soon, neighboring cities became aware of us, and requests began to come in regularly. The company was growing, developing, and exploring new areas. By the end of the year, our staff had grown to 28 people. We opened a branch in a neighboring city, and we launched our own line of eco-friendly cleaning products. I was proud of my business, of my team, of the fact that we were doing more than just cleaning. We were creating a safe, healthy environment for people. Around this time, I received an unexpected call from the editor of the local business newspaper, the Federal Way Business Times. Minus Ms. Layton, we are holding our annual Business Person of the Year contest, and you are on the short list. We'd like to meet for an interview. I agreed, although I had mixed feelings. On the one hand, the recognition was nice. On the other, I preferred to keep a low profile, especially given the situation with Mervyn. The interview took place in my office. Amelia, a young journalist, asked intelligent questions about the business model, approach to hiring, and development plans. Then she moved on to personal topics. Audrey, your story is inspiring. Starting a new business at the age of 62 and growing to a market leader in a year is impressive. Can you tell me what motivates you? I answered in a streamlined way, without getting into personal dramas. I've always believed that age is no barrier to new endeavors. I had experience in cleaning, an understanding of the market, and a clear vision of how to improve the industry. And what motivates me is the desire to create a company where the work of a cleaner is perceived as a worthy profession that requires skills and brings satisfaction. The photographer took some shots, me in the office, with the team, in the showroom with the latest equipment. I asked him not to publish my home address, citing security concerns. The journalist nodded understandingly. 2 weeks later, the newspaper published an issue with my picture on the front page and the headline, Businesswoman of the Year, How Audrey Layton is Revolutionizing the Cleaning Industry. The article talked about my approach to business, innovative technology, and fair treatment of employees. Major contracts, work with medical facilities and police, expansion plans, and charitable initiatives were mentioned. We cleaned for free at a local homeless shelter and an assisted living center for the elderly. I received many congratulations from clients and partners on the day the paper was published. My phone was ringing off the hook, and my email was overflowing with messages. Lauren helped filter contacts, respond to congratulations, and set up meetings with potential clients who were interested after the publication. By evening, when the office emptied, I was alone, rereading the article. It was a strange feeling to see my life laid out on paper. The journalist had done a good job describing my journey from humble cleaner to owner of a successful company. Of course, she didn't know the whole story about winning the lottery, about my son's betrayal. To her, it was simply an inspiring success story of an older woman. Almost immediately after the publication, my work and personal phones began receiving calls from unknown numbers. I didn't answer, assuming it was Mervyn trying to contact me after seeing the paper. His persistence was always amazing when it came to money. Soon letters began to arrive, first to my work address, then to my home address. I recognized Mervyn's handwriting on the envelopes and never opened them. Then came the emails with long explanations, apologies, requests for help. They all followed the same script: an admission of guilt, admiration for my success, an account of my dire financial situation, a request for a meeting, and of course, money. Mom, I can't believe you've been so successful. I always knew you were special, that you had a business acumen. We need to meet, talk, rebuild our relationship. By the way, I'm having a little financial trouble right now. Mortgage arrears, threatened eviction. It's nothing serious, just a temporary hardship. Maybe you could help. It's a small thing for a successful businesswoman like you. I deleted these letters without answering. I knew there was no such thing as temporary difficulties at Mervyn's. It's an endless funnel that always demands more. When the letters and calls didn't work, he began to act through third parties. A mutual acquaintance would casually mention Mervyn's problems in a conversation with me. Then a former neighbor called to say she had seen my son, and he looked very depressed. Then, even the minister from the local church I sometimes attended hinted at the importance of family bonds and forgiveness. I remained adamant, not because I couldn't forgive. I had long ago forgiven Mervyn for his words, but I saw the true nature of our relationship and didn't want to go back to the old model where I was just a source of money. One morning, Lauren walked into my office with a concerned look on her face. "Audrey, there's a man in the waiting room. He says he's your son. He's insisting on seeing you. I told him you weren't here, but he won't leave." I looked at the security camera monitor. Mervyn was sitting in the waiting room, tapping his foot nervously. He didn't look his best. The wrinkled suit, the drooping face, the worried look in his eyes. "Tell him I'm out of town," I decided. "I won't be back until next week. Let him leave his contacts if he wants." Lauren nodded and walked out. Through the monitor, I could see her talking to Mervyn. He was clearly angry, waving his arms, raising his voice. Finally, he threw some paper on the front desk and walked out, slamming the door. Lauren came back with an envelope. "He left this for you. He said it was urgent, something to do with his grandchildren." I sighed and opened the envelope. Inside was a copy of a notice of mortgage arrears and a warning that eviction proceedings were about to begin. There was also a short note from Mervyn. "Mom, I know you're mad at me. You have every right to be. But think of the boys. It's not their fault we're fighting. I need $150,000 to settle the bank and keep a roof over their heads. For the grandchildren's sake, please." The manipulation was obvious. He never worried about whether I was socializing with my grandchildren when he wasn't having financial problems. Now he suddenly remembered my feelings for them. I put the papers back in the envelope and tucked them away in my desk drawer. No, I'm not falling for that trick. If the boys really need my help, I'm always willing to support them, directly pay for their education, open accounts in their names, but not through Mervyn, who used them as leverage. Over the next few days, Mervyn continued his campaign. He left notes on the windshield of my car, tried to catch me outside my office, called everyone I knew. Eventually, I contacted my lawyer, and we drafted an official letter demanding that the harassment stop. A copy was sent to the police in case the situation escalated. After that, there was a temporary lull. I immersed myself in work, developed new lines of business, opened a second branch of the company. Life went on, and I was grateful for every day that I could live by my own rules, not subject to other people's expectations and demands. A year and a half after winning the lottery, my life changed beyond recognition. Crystal Clean became a thriving business with 3 branches and a staff of 45 people. We serviced the city's largest business centers, medical facilities, and government facilities. Our reputation was impeccable, with clients signing up in line to contract with us. But work, while important, was only part of my new life. For the first time in many years, I began to truly live for myself. For so many years, I had put off personal desires, sacrificed my interests for my family. Now it was my time. The first thing I did was fulfill a long-time dream, a trip to Europe. 2 weeks in Italy, where I enjoyed the art, the architecture, the cuisine. A week in Paris, with leisurely strolls along the Seine embankment and visiting small cafes away from the tourist routes. Then London with its majestic museums and cozy parks. I traveled alone, but I never felt lonely. On the contrary, there was something liberating about being able to plan my day as I saw fit, without having to accommodate other people's wants and whims. I stayed in the best hotels, dined at Michelin-starred restaurants, attended theaters and the opera. Money allowed me to do this, but most importantly, I finally allowed myself to enjoy life. When I returned from Europe, I decided to do charity work, not ostentatious, not for publicity or tax benefits, but from the heart. I started with what I knew best, helping the elderly. I created a fund to support lonely pensioners, which paid them for house cleaning, grocery deliveries, and minor repairs. You don't know how important this is, Dorothy, 80, one of the first beneficiaries of the fund, told me. When you become old, the worst thing is to lose your independence, and your help allows us to keep it. I understood her as well as anyone. At 62, I myself was afraid of losing my independence, of the humiliating need to ask for help, to depend on other people's kindness. Now I could protect others from that. The foundation was growing, expanding its activities. We began to organize leisure activities for the elderly, excursions, hobby groups, concerts. We opened computer literacy courses where they learned how to use the internet, social networks, video calls, so that they could communicate with their relatives living far away. I personally participated in all these projects, attended events, and communicated with my charges. Many of them became my friends. For the first time in many years, I had a real social circle. People with whom I could talk about everything, from politics to gardening, from literature to cooking. Life was filled with new meaning, new experiences, new people. I rarely thought about Mervyn and his family. I knew that they continued to have financial problems. Through mutual acquaintances, there were rumors about selling the house, moving into an apartment, changing the boys' school. But I didn't interfere. It was their choice, their path. One morning, as I was reviewing quarterly reports in my office, Lauren called on the intercom. Audrey, you have a visitor. Says he's your son, and it's urgent. I sighed. Mervyn had tried to get through to me several times since the newspaper article had been published, but without success. I was always either in a meeting or out of town. I guess he decided to be more persistent this time. Tell him I'm busy, I said. He could make an appointment if he wanted to. Lauren called again a few minutes later, her voice sounding concerned. Audrey, he refuses to leave. He says he'll sit in the waiting room all day if he has to. He doesn't look. Not good. I looked at the security camera monitor. Mervyn really did look bad. The droopy face, the worn suit, the nervous movements. Something about the way he looked made me change my mind. All right, let him in, but tell him I only have 15 minutes. Mervyn entered the office, looking around with ill-concealed envy. My office was understated but elegant, an oak desk, comfortable chairs, paintings by local artists on the walls, large windows overlooking the city. Mother, he began without greeting, we need to talk. Hello, Mervyn, I replied calmly. Please sit down. I don't have much time. He sank into the chair across from me, clasping his hands together nervously. You look good, he said, studying me with his gaze. Younger, somehow, more confident. Thank you. I nodded. Did you want to talk about something urgent? He got right to the point. Mom, I'm in a desperate situation. We lost our home. We live in a small apartment in a terrible neighborhood. Tessa is working 2 jobs. The boys have moved to a public school full of bullies. Everything is falling apart. I listened in silence, not interrupting. I'm in debt. Creditors are calling day and night, he continued. I've tried to find a job, but with my credit history, no one will hire me even as a junior manager. I'm at a dead end, Mom. What do you want me to do? I asked him bluntly. Help. He looked up at me pleadingly. Not for me, for the boys. They don't deserve this life. They need proper housing, good schools, opportunities for development. Where were your thoughts about their future when you were spending money on another business venture instead of saving for their education? I asked calmly. He flared up. I was trying to provide for my family. All my decisions were aimed at creating a better life for them. But it backfired, I pointed out. And now you want me to fix it. You can help. He nodded at the office around him. You obviously have the means. Judging by the article, your business is booming. Can't you spare some money for your own family? Mervyn, I folded my hands on the table. Let's get this straight. You don't come to me because you missed me. You don't come to me because you want to rebuild your relationship. You come to me because you need money. You didn't call me for a year and a half. You weren't interested in my life. You didn't ask about my health. It was only when you saw an article about my success that you thought you were related. That's not true, he protested. I've been trying to get in touch with you all this time, calling, writing, coming. Yes, asking for money. I nodded, not with apologies, not with a desire to mend the relationship, just specific amounts of money that you need. Okay, I was wrong. He lowered his head. I was being selfish, not appreciating you, saying terrible things. I'm sorry, I really am. I want you back in our lives. The boys miss you. Boys who for years barely noticed my presence? I grinned. The ones who couldn't look away from their phones to say hello to me? They've changed, he assured me. This whole situation, it's taught us a lot. We realized what's really important. Family is important. You're important to us, Mom. I looked at him carefully, trying to see a bit of sincerity, but all I saw was the desperation of a man who had exhausted all other options and had come to the last source of help. How much do you need? I asked him bluntly. His eyes lit up with hope. 200,000 would solve all the problems. I could pay off my debts, put a down payment on a new house, get the boys back into a good school. And then what? I continued. In 6 months, you'll be in debt again. A year later, you'll be asking for more. It's an endless cycle, Mervyn. No, I've changed, he insisted. I realized my mistakes. No more risky investments, no more overspending. I will save every dollar, create a financial cushion for my family. I shook my head slowly. I don't believe you, Mervyn. And even if I did, money won't solve your biggest problem relationship to life, to finances, to each other. His face contorted with anger. So you're just gonna sit in your posh office, swimming in money while your grandchildren suffer? How heartless you are. I'm ready to help the boys directly, I said calmly. Pay for their education, open savings accounts in their names, available when they reach adulthood. But not you. That's insulting. He jumped up. You don't trust me to manage money for my own children? That's right, I confirmed. Because you've already proven that you don't know how to do it. He took a deep breath, trying to pull himself together. Then he sat down again and spoke in a low, pleading voice. Mom, please. I know I've hurt you. I know I don't deserve your help. But for the sake of all that was good between us, help us. Come back into our lives. The boys need a grandmother. I need a mother. I looked at him, and suddenly it was very clear. He hadn't changed. He'd just gotten better at manipulation, at choosing words that would move me. But behind the pretty words was the same self-interest. You know, Mervyn, I said, smiling, you did something very important for me. When you said, I wish you'd been hit by a car, you freed me from guilt, from obligation, from having to sacrifice myself for ungrateful people. It was the best gift you could have given me. He looked at me, not understanding. Because of you, I finally saw the truth, I continued. I saw that I had never been a mother to you, just a source of money, a free babysitter, a convenient ATM. And that knowledge freed me, allowed me to start living for myself, without looking back at your expectations and demands. You're crazy, he whispered. What the hell are you talking about? Not nonsense, but the truth, I replied calmly. The truth you don't want to admit. You never loved me, Mervyn. You loved what I could give you. And now that I have what you so desperately want, money, success, freedom, you come with your hand out, feigning remorse. It's not true, he screamed. I love you. You're my mother. If you loved me, I said quietly, you'd ask me once how I was able to build this business, what path I've traveled, what I do now. Instead, you just started talking about money." He was silent, unable to find the words to object. "This conversation is over." I got up from the table. "I'm going to ask Lauren to walk you out." "You'll regret it," he said through gritted teeth. "When you're old and alone, you'll regret pushing your own son away." I smiled. "You know what the most amazing thing is, Mervyn? I'm not alone. I have friends. I have people who appreciate me for who I am, not for what I can give them. I have a business that is fulfilling. I have my whole life ahead of me, traveling, new experiences, new acquaintances, and it's all thanks to you and your words. So thank you." He stood up, his face contorted with anger. "You'll be sorry. I'll tell everyone what you really are. A heartless, selfish old woman who abandoned her own family for money? You can say whatever you want." I shrugged. "I don't care. I know the truth, and that's enough." I pressed a button on the desk, summoning Lauren. "Would you please show Mr. Layton out?" I asked as she entered. Our meeting was over. Mervyn gave me one last hateful look and walked out, slamming the door. I walked over to the window, looking out at the city below. A strange sense of calm filled me. It was as if the last thread that bound me to the past had been severed. I was truly free now. Over the next few days, Mervyn tried to work through other people. He got Tessa to call me with a story about the boy's suffering. Asked his aunt, my sister-in-law, with whom I had always gotten along well, to talk to me in a womanly way. Even sent a priest from the local church, an elderly man who awkwardly tried to convince me of the importance of family bonds and forgiveness. I listened to everyone politely, but steadfastly refused to change my mind. Not out of vindictiveness or resentment, but out of understanding. Money would not solve their problems, only create a temporary illusion of prosperity. When all methods of persuasion failed, Mervyn turned to threats. He sent a letter promising to sue for emotional abuse and denial of family support. My lawyer only laughed when he read it. There was no legal basis for such a lawsuit. Mervyn then tried to smear my reputation, spreading rumors that I had obtained money dishonestly, that my business was a front for money laundering. Fortunately, Crystal Clean's impeccable reputation and my community activities spoke for themselves. No one took his insinuations seriously. Finally, having exhausted all possibilities, he sent one last letter, full of venomous accusations and curses. He wrote that he was disowning me, that I was no longer his mother, that he would never let me see my grandchildren, even if I changed my mind and wanted to repair the relationship. I folded the letter neatly and put it away in my desk drawer. Perhaps someday in the future, the boys, my grandchildren, will want to know what happened between us. Then this letter will be part of the story they will need to hear. Life went on. My company prospered. New branches opened. Services expanded. I continued to travel. I visited Japan, Australia, New Zealand. Each trip brought new impressions, new acquaintances, new ideas for business and charity. The Foundation for Assistance to the Elderly, which I founded, was recognized at the state level. I was invited to speak at conferences, to share my experience in organizing social support. I met with politicians, public figures, and other philanthropists. My life was rich, interesting, and full of meaning. One spring day when I was working in my home office, I received a call. It was an unfamiliar number. "Audrey Layton speaking," I answered. "Grandma?" came the tentative voice of a teenager. "It's Archie, your grandson." I froze, not knowing what to say. Archie, the older of the twins I hadn't seen in almost 2 years. "Archie, what's wrong?" I asked, trying to speak calmly. "Nothing," he answered quietly. "It's just, I wanted to talk to you, to see how you were doing." "I'm fine," I said carefully. "How are you? How's Hammond?" "Fine." His voice sounded unsure. "We're at the new school. It's not as bad as Dad says it is. And the apartment's okay too. It's just smaller than the house. We talked some more about his studies, his hobbies, his plans for the future. Nothing deep, just polite conversation. But at the end of the conversation, he said something that made my heart clench. Grandma, I know Daddy hurt you. I've heard him say terrible things. I wanted you to know that Hammond and I don't think that way. We miss you. I miss you boys too, I said sincerely. Can can we call you sometimes? He asked shyly. Dad doesn't know I called. He forbids us to communicate with you. But we're not little kids anymore. We can decide for ourselves. Of course you can, I smiled, though he couldn't see it. Call me anytime. I'm always glad to hear from you. After that conversation, we began to talk regularly, not often, once every week or two, but constantly. The boys would call secretly from their parents, talking about their lives, asking for advice. I never spoke ill of Mervyn or Tessa, never tried to turn them against their parents. I was just there for them when they needed to talk. That's how a piece of family came back into my life, not on Mervyn's terms, not through manipulation or threats, but through the boys' genuine desire to keep in touch. Perhaps when they grow up, our relationship will be even stronger, or maybe they would go their separate ways. Either way, I respected their choices. In the meantime, I had a full, busy life. My business grew and prospered. My charitable projects helped those who really needed support. My friends, real friends who valued me for my personal qualities, not my money, were always there for me. I once believed that my life was over at the age of 62, that all I had left was to live out my life alone, saving every dollar. How wrong I was. My real life was just beginning. And for that, I was grateful to fate, to my choice, and, oddly enough, to Mervyn's words, which had been a wake-up call for me. I was happy, really, deeply happy, and that was the most important thing.